August 23, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on a 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There are a lot of little knee-jerk reactions that happened today because there was quite a lot of, I guess, information coming out today. This is just off of Forex Factory. As you can see, there's like a FOMC, well, just a bunch of FOMC Fed Chair Powell spoke. FOMC members all spoke throughout the day. And depending on what they said, sometimes the market would quickly spike or do something. So it was a rather interesting day. There was this, I would say, kind of like a two-leg rally, or maybe even three. Then when it hit the peak of the day, shortly after the open, it sold off and then made two legs up and then another big leg down. So it looked like two legs down, constituting a big leg, two legs up, and then another giant leg down, which also looked like about two legs, then again, two other legs up. So there weren't too many setups that I could find. There were a couple, well, more than a couple. There's just not too many, and I took one trade. I'm going to get into the setups right now. So this is what the pre-market looked like. Pre-market, there was this big rally. There was an FOMC Bostic speaking at around 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here. I would say it didn't really cause too much of a reaction. It hits the high, kind of breaks this green channel, breaks, tests, makes a new high, comes down on this orange channel. So it looks like it's one push up, break, tests a new high, comes back down, then it pushes up, consolidates sideways. So no clean second entries that I could find right now. There were second entries, but not enough or not good ones. Then right around 7 o'clock, there was a Fed chair press conference. I think there was like, I believe there was like a Jackson Hole Fed meeting or something happening, and then he started to speak, and it caused the market to rally. Pushes up, kind of calms down. This channel doesn't exist for me yet. Comes back down, moves in two legs, so it's first entry long, pullback. There was a second entry long here, but I don't really trust the second entry long just yet because it's below the EMA. This trading range doesn't exist yet because I haven't seen it. I haven't drawn a support yet to trust anything here. Plus, when you just see this second entry long, two legs down, it's not good enough justification to take a long trade. You need a higher low, and you don't get a higher low. You almost get it here. And when you finally do get it, it's way up here. So it's definitely too late for any kind of trade. Prices continue moving. Follows up on this green up channel, breaks, tests the new high. At this point, I do draw this trend line here as a potential resistance trend line. And then when it bounces here, that's where I thought out of the few trend channels that I had going on, this one might be a viable one. Comes down to this orange down channel, which is, so this is actually a lower high. So it's a break of this green up channel. Test makes a new high, pushes up. And I thought this might have been a possible trade. The only reason is it looked like it was double topping at near the highs of the day. It's a pretty decent signal bar, and there was just enough room to scalp out before you hit bottom. So it is counter trend. So it does feel a little riskier, but it's possible trade because it already broke. That's a new high and might be on its way down. So now this actually sets up for my first and only trade. This orange down channel breaks here. It looks like you could argue it maybe it tested the lows here, but I didn't see it that way. I saw it as a first entry short. Here creates a second entry short, and I actually like this setup. So it actually went from break the orange channel, first entry long, pullback, potential second entry long. It all depends on what this next candle is going to do. And then I actually entered when it opened, it pushed down, it spiked up. I entered before this fully closed, so I am a little early, but to compensate for that, I entered really close to, I think it's just one tick above. And then on the next candle, flushes up, lets me take lets me take most of the contracts off, and I just had a runner. So it's coming down. My runner is actually, excuse me, had a coughing fit just now. So actually, so this is my entry. I got my one point profit off my main core. My stop was actually below this candle, and I'm watching and waiting. So it gets down here. It hasn't stopped me out yet. It starts moving and it pushes up. So my profit target is actually 3 points higher. So as this was pushing up, my profit target, I didn't move out of the way, but I did move my stop loss from down here. Typically, it would have been stopped out probably here and on this candle, but I wanted to give it a little more room. So I actually moved it up to one tick above this guy. It flashes up, and I thought, okay, I'm going to actually move it to where the other pour was made, but I moved it too early, flushed down and stopped me out. Had I just been more patient, I would have been able to move one tick below each of these and probably stayed all the way up till here, and then finally this candle would have taken me out. So this wasn't that great of a runner management because I already said I'm going to actually give this a little bit of room to breathe because as this was forming, I was trusting this trend line support a little bit more. So I thought there was a potential for it to get to this other side. The mismanagement happened is because one, if I really wanted to keep it tight, as soon as this was made, I would have moved the stop all the way to one tick above this guy, in which case I probably would have gotten stopped out on this one, if not this one. But I kept it down here below this guy to give it some room to breathe. And as it was going up, I didn't. I kept my profit. I kept my profit target at 4 points here, but I moved this one too quickly up before this closed. As a result, I got stopped out early. So it wasn't good runner management, but still profitable trade. Prices move up, moves on this orange, this yellow up channel, breaks, makes a new high. There is a technically kind of like a new localized low here. First entry short, technically have a second entry short here, but it doesn't look like any really good setup. Whoop, didn't mean to move that. Put it back. Prices then continue moving. So I do see a new high here. The first entry long, pullback, second entry long, and a potential failed second entry. Excuse me. That had my second coughing fit. Apologize for that. So I was thinking maybe there is a larger trading range happening here. Maybe two confirmations and at least two confirmations at the top. I found this green down channel. It's breaking through this up channel. So I'm not really sure it's going to come back up and test the high because this up channel has only been confirmed twice and maybe two, maybe three times, but it's a little hard to trust. It is rather large. So I saw this coming down and I'm thinking, okay, I want to see how this reacts. It's a new high. So technically you have a first entry long right here, really tiny, then a second entry long here. But I also saw this like maybe it's a bigger first entry long pullback, second entry long. Nevertheless, there's second entry long has already been made. But I also saw this as a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short. And I actually call this a almost trade, but looks like it has a touch rejection of this green down channel, which is nice because it gives you more reasons to go short. But I needed a bit better signal bar because I can see it kind of closed about halfway. If this signal bar had actually closed down here, I may have considered the trade, but then what would have made me second guess it is it's not much room before the localized low. So if it would depend on how strongly I trusted this green down channel, that I would take a trade and push it down. Ideally, this would have closed lower, like down here, or there wouldn't have been just this big tail. This big tail tells me there's indecision because it opened here, it flushed down, but toward the end, there's buyers that pushed it all the way back up. So that gave me pause on taking this trade as a possible short. So I call it an almost trade. Prices then continue chopping, breaks out of this green channel, makes two legs up. There's no clean second entry short here. There is a second entry short here, but I don't trust the signal bar when it looks like this. And then this follow-up trigger bar, it closed too bullish. It needed to close below the EMA, then I would have trusted that it's pushing back down to test the lows of here. And that's exactly what it did, but you don't know that at the time, so the setup just wasn't quite there. Pushes down on this orange down channel. It breaks, it makes a first entry short, second entry short. The second entry short I actually thought is a possible trade because the second entry short, it's a break of this orange down channel, makes one attempt down, and then this is already the second attempt. Although the signal bar isn't good, the follow-up trigger bar is better because it makes a double top and then it pushes down and closes, engulfing this entire candle. So I'm thinking there's enough momentum with two clean legs up to test the extreme of this orange down channel. So I thought that was a possible trade. Looks like it would have worked. Comes back down, pops around, then it starts reversing back up. I saw a new low here. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short just barely, and then it creates another push down. So if you group, depending on how your candles look, this could have just been a first entry short. This could have been a second entry short. So I'm thinking second entry short failure. And it pushes down. I don't have a confirmed high or low yet because I only have a first entry short or third entry short, depending on how I do the count. And then it bounces up and it flashes back up. So now this is actually, I thought, a possible trade, but you would have had to been quick because it confirms the second entry short or just a second entry short failure. And it's a bounce off the EMA, which is this guy. And after the break of this orange down channel, it already tested the lows here. So it looked like the downtrend has played out and it's starting to reverse. But you would have had to have been pretty quick with this trade, in my opinion. Pushes up, breaks, consolidates. EMA is starting to show strength, which is good. Well, not good, but it's just interesting that you think it's going to start reversing and maybe move back up to the top. Prices continue moving. It starts pushing up. At this point in the bigger picture, I'm seeing one big leg, and I'm thinking, is there going to be a second leg down? It breaks out of the green channel, pushes up, tests the high, so I'm thinking the uptrend may have played out. And it looked like there was two legs, one leg up. Looks like one leg down, push up, a second leg down, and then another big leg up, these two green ones here. I'm not really sure that the uptrends played out, but I did take a look if there was a measured move. So if you took it up to here, it exceeded the measure move, so it's pretty close. You do have a first entry long. You technically have a second entry long here, but it's a break of this purple down channel. The up channel of the screen is already played out, so I'm not really sure it's going to go back up and test. So I'm thinking more likely it's going to come down and test the lows of this purple, but it reverses up, pops around, and then it finally actually does break and go down. Chops around, hits this consolidation area. I saw this as a higher low, as an also possible, excuse me, a possible long trade. Because you have a new low here. It's a first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short technically has failed on this candle here, but it's doji. So I'm not really prepared to go long just yet. This one does not help at all. And then this one pushes up. So it's starting to reverse, it looks like. Then it creates this higher low. It is a good trade to have taken because it's a strong signal bar. There's enough room to localized high for at least a one point quick scalp. EMA is starting to show support, so it has a few things going for it. I wasn't that concerned that it's in this particular trading range that it might reverse back down because this bar was so strong on this close. I'm thinking there's enough room to at least come up and test this more dominant trading range. So it most likely would push up to here. It does, it pushes up and through, and it kind of comes back down. This green down channel broke, tests a new low, chopping again. EMA is holding. It looks like it's hitting another trading range consolidation area, but the EMA is pretty strong in holding prices down. It breaks through. Moves down on this green down channel. Break of the green down channel, tests this new low. So it looks like it's already two legs down, one leg down, two attempts up, another leg down. And it's just kind of this repeat pattern of legs and then consolidation areas with two legs. So it's very interesting. Price action was kind of following the standard convention of after a break, it makes two attempts in the opposite direction, and then it continues downward for a total of two bigger legs. So you just have to keep zooming out to look for the bigger legs. Prices move down. I'm thinking it's moving down on this yellow down channel. Creates a new low here, localized, and yeah, just localized new low. I wasn't too sure and too confident that this is actually a support area because there's not that many good touches here where this blue dotted line was. But I did see a new low here. Say first entry short, pullback, creates a second entry short on this candle. And I thought this is actually a possible trade because it's a break of this yellow down channel, which had one touch, two touch, three touch, four touch. So I'm thinking it's going to go back down and test the lows. This is a subtle, very slight second entry short. So you could also have seen it as first entry short. So whether you saw it as first entry short or you did the real technical count of first entry short, second entry short, it looks like prices are coming back down for sure. And I'm thinking it's going to test the lows of this yellow down channel with enough room to get out before you hit the localized low. Plus the EMA is showing resistance now. So even if you took it after this bar closed, which is a little more riskier, you still have enough room because I think you have about 3 points before you hit the bottom. You would have had actually 2.5 points. Let's just take a look. Yeah, you had about 2.75 points to get out. So even if you entered after this bar, you would have been able to get out. Reverses itself. It looks like it's in another trading range. There's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short, I was going back and forth and I'm thinking maybe, okay, you do have a second entry short and a triple test because it looked like it pushed once, twice, 3 times. So actually, I think this was a viable trade. Break of the orange up channel, uptrend has played out. It's coming back in. It's a failed breakout here, and it looks like it's pushing back down. So I'm going to update my notes. This should be a possible trade here. Pushes down, kind of consolidates, and this is where it completes the measured move. One big leg down, 2 attempts up, another big leg down, new high. It's the first entry long, second entry long, second entry long. It did move one tick below and come back up, but I didn't really like this setup because it just feels it's just too much still in this it's this red bar is just too large for the signal bar, so I'm not ready to believe it's going to reverse back up yet. Prices move, and then I see what I think is actually a pretty decent setup, and I'm a little bit disappointed in myself for not pulling the trigger faster. I just kind of watched it go by. This yellow down channel has broke and tested a new low. This green down channel, whether it's valid or not, doesn't even look like it's in play now because it's pushing back up on this orange up channel. The measure move has been made. So it looks like, okay, 2 legs down. This bigger context doesn't look like it's trending in the bullish or bearish direction. It looks like it's just ranging. So you have all these things telling you, okay, downtrend has played out. It might be coming back up. A break of this orange channel made one attempt up, pull back, and it's about to make a second attempt up right here. You have a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. Second entry long isn't confirmed yet, but you also have a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short. Second entry short hasn't failed yet. Second entry long isn't confirmed yet. So it all depends on what this next candle is. And I was thinking there is a better likelihood that this is going to push up than it is going to push down because there's also some kind of support being respected here. I didn't really trust this trading range at the time, but I like that this is a really strong signal bar for a second entry long, and the second entry short looks like it's about to fail. It does fail and it pushes up. So this is a decent trade to have taken, but I hesitated too much, waited for this one to close to see what it'd do, and then, it just kind of creeps back up. You could have tried to enter on a higher low here, but I felt like I didn't enter here, so I didn't really want to chase it. So I just left it alone because I was thinking there's a potential that the trade here would have been good for a scalp. But is this a potential fail breakout comes back into range before it makes a decisive move up? I wasn't sure, so I missed the trade, and I thought that was actually a good trade to have taken. So it's more like seeing the overall context and having the hunch that this is the right thing to do. I didn't take it though, so had to just kind of watch it go without me. New high, it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long here. I thought this was a little bit more of an aggressive trade because you have a confirmed second entry long. I don't know that I would have just had my entry, I would have entered right here because this is very congested right here. It did move one tick below and shoot up, and I like when trades do that. The thing is, it already broke and closed below the EMA. So when I saw that and then I saw this, I'm a little more cautious because this pink uptrend does need to test its high. So it's one attempt up. This could be a second attempt coming up. But if this red bar just didn't close below, then I think I would have felt a little more confident. Or this wasn't a 5.25 candle. Like it's just too much risk right now because if I entered here, one tick above, I'd have to be, and this candle itself is 4 points. I had to put my stop down here. So it's unfortunately too large. And I thought, okay, well, just wait for a higher low confirmation. Ideally, it shows up in the next 2 to 3 bars to let you enter before it gets up to here. So you would have entered here. I would have probably gotten filled here. Had to sweat it out as it comes back down, bounces up. This one a bit of more confidence, but then you get a higher, so it would have worked. You would have scalped out right here, but then the higher low shows up here, and at that point I felt like the trade is too late because here you don't know you have a higher low just yet. This one doesn't help because it's an inside bar, and then finally your higher low is confirmed, but by the time you're confirmed, it's already pressing into the highs of a possible range. So I had to definitely let it go. I mean, if you entered, you had to sit through this chop to eventually probably get out here, but that's a long wait. Price then continue moving. It creates two legs up, but I also saw as one big leg. Starts chopping, break of this green up channel, pushes up, tests the high, now it's coming back down, breaks below the EMA, it's getting a little noisy. You technically have a new high. You get your first entry long right here, second entry long here, but it's below the EMA. I'm not that hot on that. Don't really like this kind of setup. Pushes down, so break of this and test the new low. You could also see it as a bigger visual first entry long pullback, second entry long. Even if you did that, you'd have to trust the strength of this support off a very shallow uptrend. So this is your signal bar to go long. Well, this is your signal bar. You got a second entry long here, but there was not a very convincing trigger bar. And then it finally starts moving up, and now I'm worried about the EMA. And you're looking for a higher low, and you finally get your higher low confirmed right here when this moves up. So you in theory could have entered here, but you look at the time, it's already 12:51. It's really late in the day to try to make anything happen. So maybe if this was earlier in the day, I might have taken it, but this is just too late now. Price has moved up. You would have gotten your scalp, but then you're trading in the last 10 minutes where it gets a little more choppy into the close. So kind of how I saw the charts today. I'm pretty happy with just my one trade. A little bummed I missed this trade. This is actually a decent setup in my opinion. I should have just jumped on that. But I think I was second guessing, got into analysis paralysis, and let that trade kind of go by when it was a worthy trade to have taken. So hopefully that was helpful.